Gave my brother $5,000 after he called me crying about his newborn baby's medical bills, but 2 weeks later I saw photos of a lavish party that I wasn't even invited to, because he spent all my money on it. My brother, Nicholas, 31M, and his wife, Madeline, 30F, had their first child, Liam, a few months ago. Everyone was excited, and I was happy for them. My husband, Logan, 35M, and I, 35F, supported them in any way we could, sending gifts, checking in, and making sure they had everything they needed. A little backstory on my brother, Nicholas was always a little entitled. Growing up, he had a habit of manipulating people to get his way. He was a bit of a bully, always expecting things to go in his favor. He rarely faced consequences, and when he did, they were never big enough to make him care. He never thought much about the effects of his actions because he never really had to deal with them. One day, Nicholas called me, sounding really stressed. He told me they were with unexpected medical expenses for Liam and that they did not have enough money to cover the bills. He asked if I could lend him some money to help. He said he had tried everything and had no other options. I could not imagine the stress of having a sick newborn and worrying about money, so I sent him $5,000 right away without asking too many questions. He was very grateful and promised to pay me back as soon as possible. A couple of weeks later, I started hearing from family members about a big baby naming ceremony Nicholas and Madeline were hosting for Liam. I had not been invited, but I figured they wanted to keep it small. Then, I saw pictures from the event. It was anything but small. They had rented a fancy venue, hired professional photographers, and decorated the place with expensive floral arrangements. There was catering, custom outfits, and an elaborate stage. It was a full-blown, lavish celebration. People were talking about how extravagant it was, and I could not believe it. That is when it hit me, this was where my money went. The medical bills Nicholas needed help with were actually to fund this huge party. He had lied to me. He had played on my emotions, knowing I would help without hesitation, and then used the money to show off instead. To make things worse, he had not even invited Logan and me. When I asked a cousin if she knew why we were not invited, she said Nicholas did not want us there because it would make him feel guilty. He had used my money and then deliberately kept me away so he would not have to face me. I was furious. It was not just about the money, it was about trust. I had always been there for Nicholas, always helped him when he needed it, and he had repaid me with a lie. Instead of being honest, he chose to manipulate me and then shut me out. Logan was just as angry as I was. He had always treated Nicholas like a brother, and this felt like a huge betrayal. It was not about wanting to go to the event, it was about the fact that Nicholas had lied, used me, and then made sure we were not there so he would not have to deal with the consequences. I thought about all the times I had helped Nicholas in the past, financially and emotionally. I had never hesitated, and he had never done anything like this before. Had he changed over time, or had I just never noticed? Either way, it hurt. When the family found out, opinions were mixed. Some were as shocked as I was. Others tried to justify his actions, saying he just wanted to celebrate his first child in a big way. But that did not change the fact that he had deceived me. I started remembering other times Nicholas had asked for help. Little things, favors, small amounts of money, nothing that stood out on its own, but looking back, I wondered if he had always been this way. Had I just ignored the signs? It was a painful realization. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. It was not just about the money, it was about how he saw me. Did he think I was a fool? That I would never figure it out? Or did he simply not care? I could not decide which was worse. Other family members started reaching out. Some expressed their disappointment in Nicholas, while others told me to just let it go. It is done now, they said. No point in holding a grudge. But it was not about holding a grudge. It was about realizing that someone I had trusted had used me and did not even have the decency to face me afterward. Days passed, and I kept expecting Nicholas to reach out. Maybe to explain himself, maybe to apologize, maybe even to try and justify what he had done. But he did not. He stayed silent. That silence spoke louder than any words could. He knew exactly what he had done, and he was not sorry. If he had been, he would have reached out. I wondered how he felt when he looked at the pictures from the event. Did he feel proud? Accomplished? Did he look at the expensive decorations and feel like it had been worth it? Or did he feel a pang of guilt knowing what it had cost him, not just financially, but in terms of trust, relationships, and integrity? Logan and I talked about it a lot. We both felt hurt, betrayed, and disappointed. More than anything, I felt stupid for believing Nicholas without question. But at the same time, I knew it was not wrong to trust family. It was not wrong to want to help. The problem was not me, it was him. I decided to tell Madeline the truth. It was not easy, but I could not just sit with the fact that she had no idea what Nicholas had done. She had sent me a message thanking me for always being supportive and saying she was sad that I could not be at the baby naming ceremony. That is when I realized she had no clue about the money, the lie, or the way Nicholas used my kindness to throw a party while keeping me out of it. So, I told her. I did not make it sound worse than it was. I just explained everything. Nicholas told me he needed money for Liam's medical bills, and I gave it to him without question. But instead of using it for that, he spent it all on their big celebration. The same celebration I was not even invited to. Madeline did not reply for a long time. When she finally did, all she said was thank you. I did not know what she would do with the information, and honestly, I did not care. I just felt relieved that she knew. But I was not ready for what happened next. Nicholas found out, and he was furious. He bombarded me with messages, each angrier than the last. He accused me of ruining his marriage and turning Madeline against him. He called me impatient and insensitive. He said I should have waited, that he would have paid me back eventually. He acted like I was the bad guy for exposing the truth. But what really shocked me was Madeline's reaction. A few days later, she sent me another message saying she was going to pay me back. Not Nicholas, her. She said she found a way to get the money. When I asked how, she told me she was selling a family heirloom, a piece of jewelry that had been passed down for generations. I could not believe it. I never expected this. I did not ask her to do it. But she told me she did not want to be part of something dishonest. If Nicholas would not take responsibility, she would. She did not make excuses for him. She just wanted to do the right thing. When Nicholas found out, he lost it. He blamed me for everything. He said I had manipulated Madeline into doing something drastic. He said I was heartless and should have just waited instead of causing all this trouble. Then he took things even further. He called my in-laws to get them involved. He tried to make himself look like the victim. He told them I was creating unnecessary drama and making life harder for his family. But my in-laws did not believe him. They knew Nicholas well enough to see through his act. They told him he had no right to be mad at me when he was the one who lied and used me. My mother-in-law was especially angry. She said she could not believe he would deceive his own sister like that and then try to play the victim. She told him he needed to take responsibility for his actions instead of expecting everyone to cover for him. My father-in-law was just as disappointed. He told Nicholas that if he wanted to act like an adult, he needed to own up to his mistakes like one. Logan, my husband, was completely on my side. He reminded Nicholas that I had been nothing but generous and trusting, and if anything, he should be grateful that I did not call him out sooner. My in-laws made it clear they would not tolerate his behavior, and they were not going to let him twist the story to make me the villain. They even went so far as to warn him that if he kept harassing me, there would be consequences. My mother-in-law, who usually tried to keep the peace, told him outright that he was acting selfish and irresponsible. My father-in-law said he was disgusted that Nicholas thought lying about a baby's medical bills was acceptable behavior. Logan did not even want to hear any more of Nicholas's excuses. He just shut him down completely. That only made Nicholas angrier. He kept saying I turned everyone against him and made him look bad. But the truth was, he did that to himself. What shocked me the most was that he was not upset about what he had done. He was only upset that he got caught. He did not care that he lied or took advantage of me. He only cared that now people knew the truth. And because of him, Madeline was selling something precious to her just to fix his mess. I did not know what to do. Should I take the money or tell her to keep the heirloom? I did not want her to suffer for his mistakes. But at the same time, she was doing something Nicholas never would. She was taking responsibility. My in-laws told me they would support whatever decision I made. My mother-in-law even suggested that I take the money and use it to help Madeline if she ever needed it. But at the same time, I hated that it had come to this. I hated that Nicholas had put her in this position. I did not know where this left me and Nicholas. I was not sure if I could ever trust him again. But one thing was clear, he was not the person I thought he was. Ida for telling his wife the truth and letting her pay me back? Update 1, after everything that happened, I was not sure how things would play out. Nicholas was still furious, but Madeline did not back down. She sold the heirloom and sent me the money. I felt awful about it, but she insisted. She said she wanted to take responsibility, even if Nicholas refused to. It was not about me or him, it was about doing the right thing. Nicholas, on the other hand, did not change. If anything, he got worse. He was angry at Madeline for paying me back, angry at me for exposing him, and angry at my in-laws for not taking his side. He started acting like a victim, telling anyone who would listen that I had ruined his life over something small. He said I was impatient, selfish, and too proud to wait for him to return the money on his own time. He refused to speak to me directly, but he sent long messages full of blame and guilt tripping. He even tried to make our parents believe that I had manipulated Madeline into selling the heirloom. But they were not buying it. They knew what he had done, and they were not happy about it. For once, they were not making excuses for him. They told him he needed to stop shifting blame and take responsibility for his choices. That only made him angrier. Madeline and I talked a few times after everything. She was struggling. She felt betrayed, not just by Nicholas but by herself for not seeing the truth sooner. She admitted that she had suspected something was wrong when he got defensive about the money, but she never imagined he would lie about their own child's medical needs. It broke her trust. She said she needed time to process everything, and I understood. I did not want her to feel pressured to do anything just because of me. Logan, my husband, was my biggest supporter. He reminded me that I had done nothing wrong, even when I started to doubt myself. He said Nicholas had no right to act like a victim when he was the one who lied. Logan also reached out to Madeline to let her know that she was not alone. He told her that no matter what she decided to do, she had support from our side of the family. Nicholas did not take any of this well. He doubled down. He started telling distant relatives that I was trying to ruin his marriage and that I had always been jealous of him. He told lies to make himself look like the one who had been wronged. But the people who mattered, the ones closest to us, saw the truth. They knew he had lied. They knew he had used me. And they knew that he was not sorry for any of it. Eventually, things between Nicholas and Madeline got worse. She stopped trusting him. She started questioning everything he had ever told her. She asked him if there were other lies, other things he had hidden from her. He did not like that. He wanted to move on like nothing had happened. But she could not do that. She could not just pretend that he had not taken advantage of his own sister and lied to her face. She told me that she was thinking about leaving him. She was not sure yet, but she could not see a future with someone she could not trust. She did not want to raise Liam in a house full of lies. I told her that no matter what she chose to do, I would support her. I just wanted her to be happy and safe. I have not spoken to Nicholas since everything happened. He refuses to reach out unless it is to blame me for his problems. I do not know if he'll ever change. I do not know if he'll ever take responsibility for what he did. But I do know that I am done making excuses for him. Madeline and I still talk, but I try not to push her. She is dealing with a lot, and I know she needs time. I can only hope that whatever she decides, it is what's best for her and Liam. As for me, I have moved on. I am not letting Nicholas's actions define me. I helped when I thought he needed it, and I do not regret that. But I will not let him take advantage of me again. I just hope that one day, he realizes the damage he has done. Because right now, all he cares about is being the victim. Update 2, after everything that happened, I thought Nicholas might take some time to reflect. Instead, things got worse. He refused to speak to me directly, but I heard from mutual family members that he was playing the victim even more. He told everyone that I had destroyed his marriage and that Madeline was now acting like a stranger toward him. He made it sound like I had manipulated her into going against him, when in reality, he had done that all by himself. Madeline did pay me back, just as she said she would. I tried to refuse the money, but she insisted. She told me she could not live with herself if she let Nicholas get away with something so deceitful, and she wanted to make things right, even if he would not. It broke my heart when she told me that selling her heirloom made her realize just how little Nicholas valued her efforts. She had given up something priceless to her family while he still refused to accept any blame. A few weeks later, I heard through the grapevine that they were having serious issues at home. Nicholas was furious that Madeline had gone behind his back to pay me, and their fights were getting worse. Madeline eventually packed up some things and left to stay with her parents for a while. It was not an official separation, but it was clear she needed space from him. Nicholas, being Nicholas, still refused to take responsibility. Instead, he doubled down. He started spreading rumors that I had been planning to ruin him from the start, that I had never really loaned him money in good faith, but rather, I was looking for a reason to turn his wife against him. It was ridiculous, but I could not even be angry anymore. It was just sad. As time went on, the situation got even messier. Nicholas kept trying to guilt trip Madeline, telling her that she had ruined their family by siding with an outsider. He begged her to come home 1 minute, then turned around and insulted her the next. He could not seem to decide if he wanted to play the victim or the aggressor, but it was clear he was desperate to regain control over the situation. Madeline's parents were not having it. They supported her decision to stay with them and even offered to help her financially so she would not feel trapped. She confided in some of our family members that she was starting to see Nicholas for who he really was and that she felt embarrassed for ever defending him. She admitted that she had ignored a lot of red flags in their marriage, but this situation forced her to see the truth. Meanwhile, Nicholas tried to turn my extended family against me. He called our aunts and uncles, complaining about how I had stolen his wife and how I was trying to ruin his life. But my family was not buying it. Most of them had already seen how manipulative he could be, and this only confirmed what they already suspected. Instead of siding with him, many of them started distancing themselves. At one point, he even tried reaching out to Logan, hoping to convince him that I had gone too far. Logan did not entertain it. He told Nicholas in no uncertain terms that I had every right to be upset and that he needed to take responsibility for his own actions. After that, Nicholas stopped trying to involve Logan directly, but he still kept up his pity act with anyone who would listen. The final straw came when Nicholas showed up at Madeline's parents' house uninvited. He tried to talk his way inside, claiming he just wanted to see Liam, but Madeline's father refused to let him in. That was when Nicholas completely lost it. He started yelling outside the house, blaming Madeline for everything, calling her ungrateful and accusing her of choosing strangers over her own husband. The neighbors heard the commotion, and eventually, someone called the police. Madeline did not press charges, but she made it clear that she was done with his games. She told him that if he kept harassing her, she would take legal action. Nicholas finally seemed to realize that he had pushed too far, and for the first time in weeks, he backed off. Since then, things have been quieter. Nicholas has stopped trying to contact me, and I think he is finally realizing that no one is going to take his side. Madeline is still staying with her parents and focusing on herself and Liam. I do not know what her next steps will be, but I do know that she is starting to rebuild her life without Nicholas trying to control her. As for me, I am just relieved that the worst seems to be over. I never expected things to escalate this far, but I also do not regret telling Madeline the truth. She deserved to know, and if Nicholas is suffering now, it is only because of his own actions. Update 3. Nicholas and Madeline officially separated. It was not dramatic, at least not at first. Madeline quietly moved out of their home and went back to her parents' house. She did not make a big announcement, did not rant about Nicholas, did not demand sympathy. She simply left. That alone seemed to shake Nicholas more than anything else had. He had expected her to fight, to argue, to try and fix things. Instead, she gave up. And that scared him. He tried to get her back, of course. First with apologies, then with anger, then with guilt. When that did not work, he turned to other people to fight for him. He went to her parents, begging them to convince her to return. They refused. He tried to get mutual friends involved, spinning his usual sob story, but even they had grown tired of it. No one was on his side anymore. He started acting out in desperation. He would show up unannounced at places he thought she might be, trying to talk to her. He even left gifts on her parents' doorstep, hoping they would sway her. But each attempt only pushed her further away. She was not falling for his manipulation anymore. The old tricks did not work. At one point, he got into a heated argument with her father. Nicholas accused him of poisoning Madeline against him, of interfering in their marriage. But her father shut it down quickly, making it clear that Madeline had made her own decision. That was another blow to Nicholas. He was not just losing his wife, he was losing control. Meanwhile, my in-laws were keeping a close eye on everything. They were not just on my side, they were actively making sure Nicholas did not try anything else. Logan's parents had always been supportive of me, and they had no patience for Nicholas's nonsense. When he tried to drag them into it, twisting the story to make himself look like the victim, they did not hesitate to shut him down. My mother-in-law called him out directly, telling him he needed to take responsibility instead of blaming others. My father-in-law refused to even entertain his excuses. They told me to stay away from him, to not engage, because Nicholas thrived on drama. They were not wrong. Every time I ignored one of his messages or refused to meet with him, he would escalate. He would send long, guilt-ridden texts about how I had ruined his family, only to turn around and throw insults when I did not respond. Madeline, however, remained firm in her decision. She was building a new life for herself and Liam. She found a job that allowed her to support herself, and her parents helped with childcare. She did not ask for anything from Nicholas, not even financial support. She just wanted to move on. Nicholas, on the other hand, was falling apart. His attempts to win sympathy were not working anymore. Friends who had once defended him started distancing themselves. He eventually exploded. He went on a rant about how ungrateful I was, how I had turned my back on him when he needed me the most. He even tried to guilt-trip Logan, calling him a bad influence for encouraging me to cut ties. But Logan did not entertain it. He blocked Nicholas and told me to do the same. I finally did. I blocked his number, his social media, everything. I was done. I had spent too much time trying to fix things, trying to be the bigger person, but Nicholas had made it clear he did not want to change. He wanted to be the victim, and I was not going to be part of his story anymore. Madeline eventually finalized the divorce. She moved into her own apartment with Liam, officially starting fresh. Nicholas fought it at first, but in the end, he had no choice. He had lost everything because of his own actions. Madeline agreed on shared custody, so that is a win. As for me, I moved on. I had my husband, my in-laws, and my own life to focus on. Nicholas was no longer my responsibility. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Update 4, Nicholas reached out to me again. This time, it was from a new number. At first, I did not recognize it, but as soon as I saw the message, I knew it was him. He started with a long apology, saying he had time to reflect and wanted to make things right. He admitted he had messed up, that he had treated me unfairly, that he had let his pride ruin everything. He said he missed having me in his life and wanted to start fresh. I stared at the message for a long time. A part of me wanted to believe him, and to think that maybe he had finally changed. But I knew better. This was not the first time he had come crawling back, only to revert to his old ways the moment things did not go his way. I had seen this cycle too many times before. I was not going to be pulled into it again. I did not respond. I let the message sit there, unread, after the first glance. A few hours later, he sent another. This time, he played the victim, talking about how lonely he was, how everyone had abandoned him. When I still did not reply, his tone shifted to anger. He accused me of holding grudges, of being cold-hearted. He said family was supposed to forgive, that I was proving I never really cared about him. I blocked the number. A few days later, he tried again with another number. This time, he did not even pretend to apologize. He just demanded that I talk to him, that I give him a chance. He even tried to guilt-trip me by saying he was struggling financially, that he had no one left. But I knew the truth. Nicholas had burned all his bridges, and now that he had nothing, he was hoping I'd be the one to pull him out of it. I refused. For years, I had put Nicholas first, always trying to be the bigger person, always forgiving him even when he did not deserve it. But this time was different. This time, I was not willing to be his safety net. He had made his choices, and now he had to live with them. Nicholas did not stop trying. He sent emails, social media messages, and even letters in the mail. Each one was more desperate than the last. He claimed he had no one else to turn to, that he had learned his lesson. But I had to remind myself that I had heard it all before. It was just another attempt to pull me back in. Nicholas had always thought he could manipulate people into giving him what he wanted. But this time, it did not work. This time, no one was falling for it. I will not lie and say it was easy. Cutting someone off, even when you know it is the right thing to do, is still painful. There were moments when I felt guilty, when I questioned if I was being too harsh. But then I would remind myself of everything Nicholas had done, of every time he had lied, manipulated, and taken advantage of me. And I knew I had made the right choice. Eventually, the messages stopped. The emails stopped. The letters stopped. Nicholas must have realized that I was not going to give in this time. And just like that, he was gone from my life for good. I do not know where he is now. I do not know if he is still trying to use people, or if he is finally learning to stand on his own 2 feet. But I do know one thing, I am finally free from his manipulation. And that is all that matters.